Hey, punks. Sorry, it's a few minutes late. Didn't realize there was going to be a authentication thing, and then lost the channel. But welcome. How do I sound? Can you hear me okay? Everything kind of look okay? I'm using the live camera instead of the phone camera that I normally use for my videos. Hey, extra cargo. There he is. How do I sound? Good. Thumbs up. All right. Well, since I was 5 minutes late, we'll kind of get started on some stuff since it's maybe a little later for some folks. Welcome. It's been a while since I've been live. This is kind of exciting. And it's also exciting because we've got some cool stuff to open. Some Cult of Chrome Radlands expansion stuff. The first thing I wanted to open was this cool promo pack they sent me. So this was kind of from what Daniel mentioned and what I saw on Board Game Geek threads for Radlands. Was this was kind of a way to apologize or send something cool out because it took a while for the expansion to get to folks. You know, it was announced in May. They did some debuts in June. They had a few copies available at Gen Con back in August. And now here we are, November, getting some stuff. So let's open this up. And the cool thing about this promo pack is with the, right now, I think they're sending it out with pre-orders at no cost. I can't imagine down the road that if you were to miss this, why you wouldn't be able to maybe purchase this from the Roxley website. I tried reaching out to somebody to see how long this free portion for pre-orders would last. Maybe since they're delivering, it's out of that window. But if you wanted to try and order a copy and see if they added it onto your cart, why not? So this is alternate art for the Water Silo and the Raiders. And I think this is a pretty awesome addition because now one person can have the new art and the other person can have the original art, and it's not the same for both players. You get the awesome synth versions and then the awesome linen versions. And looking at these, I feel they've done much better printing on the synth. You know, one of my main gripes. Hey, Ryan and Ariel, hello, welcome. Thanks for coming and watching. One of my minor quabbles with the original was that the synth cards did not seem to pop quite as much as the linen cards, but that looks pretty good. Maybe the blacks still aren't quite as deep, but I think the color, the top one's the linen here, just so you guys know, and that bottom one is the synth. So it's some awesome new cards for player number 1 or player number 2, however you want to divvy that. We'll take a look at the Water Silo here, and here they are taking water out of the tank. Got the punk giving a thumbs up there. You can kind of see a bigger difference with the water symbol there. A little darker on the linen version. Again, the linen's on top there. So cool little surprise. Was not expecting those. Again, I had seen people talking about that on Board Game Geek. I was like, I wonder if I'll get a set of those. And lo and behold, I did. And then maybe the main meat and potatoes that you all are here for, the actual Cult of Chrome pack. So we'll get going in here. I figured the game plan was I wanted to show off the promos. We'll kind of open the new packs and look through there. Again, maybe we'll compare it to some of the original cards, and then we'll see if we can get everything to fit in our boxes because they promised us that it would fit in the box. All right, let's see if we can get this tape off here. Again, I have not opened these. I got these on Monday, and I've been itching to open these, and I haven't. I wanted to open them with you all first, so you are welcome. Maybe I could have at least gotten it ready before. And look at this art from Manny Tremblay. How awesome is that cover art on that box? That is really, really awesome. It looks like there's tape on the bottom too, so you can open it from the top and maybe not rip it like I did, or maybe you can open it from the bottom. But take a look. Ooh, in there tight. All right, so loose in the box are your stickers. You gotta stop and read this. All right, stop. Ooh, stop, read this. First, find and remove these 10 cards from your copy of Radlands. So the ones we've discussed before, Cache, Cannon, Command Post, Construction Yard, Mercenary Camp, Obelisk, Resonator, Scavenger Camp, Training Camp, and Warehouse. And then replace them. There is a little icon with the ones in the new pack. You can toast the original cards and add these replacements to Radlands. Next, we suggest playing for a while with just the 32 new camps. And again, even the new camps, they'll have a different symbol on the new camps, and they'll have a different symbol that looks like there on the replacements. So we'll see if we can find those and show those off a little better. Once you've explored the new stuff, you can mix all the camps together. And I'm going to do a video at some point, maybe in a couple weeks, about how you can build your camp deck. And we'll go over all the different versions and iterations of that. Rulebook update. Each of these 5 attached stickers should be added to your existing rulebook. And then they will tell you on the sections there. So again, maybe I'll do a video on that. But cool, they add that in. So we'll set that aside. Freshly wrapped. So I'm going to set those there. I do want to kind of compare. We'll open this one from the bottom and maybe see if I don't tear up the box this time. Almost there. There we go. Ooh, learn from my mistake. I would open from the bottom. That seemed to be a little easier. All right, so same thing. Stop and read this. You've got your replacements for the rule books, and I'd imagine at some point down the road they will apply these rule book updates to the online version, so you can always have that handy on your phone or print that off. Oh, these are wrapped a little bit different. Little tighter of a plastic, whereas before you had just kind of like this plastic sleeve. The synth cards are a little bit thicker. Sorry, everybody. We'll get to the good stuff in a second. Just got to open this pack of cards up. All right. Synth, linen. Let's take a look. Armory. Looks like everything's kind of in alphabetical order there. Looks pretty good. I like it. Again, maybe the blacks are a little bit deeper on the linen cards, but and the art might pop just a bit more, but I do think it looks a lot closer in quality, a little better than the first print. I do want to look at, and somebody mentioned on the one of the Board Game Geek threads that their Gen Con version seemed like the color was a little different. So we've got a linen card here, and that's could always potentially happen in any kind of printing manufacturing, especially 2 or 3 years later. Stuff might not print exactly the same, but the cards seem to be the same size, at least for the retail version, the linen version. I'm not seeing too much of a difference there. At least looks like with this linen version, the coloring and the print seems to be pretty good. So I don't think you should have any issues there with that one. Let's take a look at the synth version, which was, I believe, the version that they had looked at. So here's the original. Here's the new. And maybe it was just those first copies. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but looks pretty similar to me. Maybe the Sky down here looks a little darker, but I think once you shuffle everything up and start dealing stuff out, you're probably not going to notice too much of a difference. And then the other complaint they had was it seemed like the cards were a different size. But I'm not feeling anything too different there. And then along the side, so maybe just that initial Gen Con run was maybe a little rushed or something, but I think that works pretty good. Let's see where are we at. All right. So new cards, Armory. 1 starting card. Your punks have an ability that costs 2 water and does a damage. And then we have those side cars that Daniel talked about. A lot of these cards are going to have a little extra oomph or ability to them. Maybe not costed great, but just gives you kind of more options for your camp. So for 2 water, you can gain punks. And especially with these punk-centric camps in the new expansion, one of the main issues with the original cards was that you had cool punk abilities, but then you had no way to really generate a lot of punks. So, Armory, you now give your punks 2 water, 1 damage. And if you don't have any punks, well, you can spend 2 water to get a punk. Pretty awesome. Asylum, a restore side card. Again, 2 water, normal costed restore, but they're nice to have. Move any damaged enemy to anywhere on your side for 2 water. So you can move them over. Again, you can put them behind other people to protect them. And then the next turn, you could restore them. If you had a Veravash out and 4 water, you could use both abilities on this card if you really wanted to restore that person. Really digging the art on this. Kind of reminds me of, looks kind of like Daniel. I told him that when he showed off the art for the card. In my opinion, he might not think so, but I thought it kind of reminded me of him a little bit. So cool punk there. Away, I think the first and only card that allows you to switch cards from side to side. Ooh, Bandit Camp. I don't believe this was one that had a preview video, so this is a new one for everybody. Let's see. 1 water to start, or 1 card, starting card for your hand. When the Raiders resolve, gain a water. So if you really are on a Raider heavy game plan, way to gain some extra water. I don't see that expansion symbol on these cards that was mentioned in that stop and read. So I think that expansion symbol is only going to be on the 10 replacements. Oh. It's in the corner, super tiny. Come on, focus. There it is, right there. And it's very, very light. So a very subtle watermark for the symbol in the corner. See if I can get that one to go. I don't know if you guys can see that. So, and these new camps should have a different symbol than the replacement camps. So kind of a way when you mix everything together after the fact, you have a way to re-put them back how they were packaged. Battering ram. I think this was one that was shown off. I love the art on this. All these punks pushing this king punk around. 0 starting cards, 3 water, super expensive, but destroy any camp if you have 6 people. That's a fun one. Black Market, one of the camps up, and here we have the, once your synth cards kind of get broken in, they should stop sliding around. But man, I love these cards. Black Market, I got to name this one. Pretty cool. 0 starting cards. Use the junk effect of a person who entered play this turn. Man, I love this. Was so fun to play. Hey, Troy, appreciate it. I don't know if I'll be streaming some new camps. I might need to just set up maybe some games with some buddies, maybe my brother or maybe my mortal enemy, Rev Maverick, might be down to play some games with the new camps whenever he gets them. As for tournaments, the build phase hasn't announced any tournaments for me to stream. I would imagine we usually try to plan those, or he tries to plan those kind of after the holidays with Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. It's kind of hard to get games planned in. So I would imagine probably after the new year, you might see some tournaments, but maybe when I have some buddies that get some of the camps, we can stream some live games and I can give everybody a heads up. But really appreciate you being here and watching with me, Troy, and asking a good question. Thank you. that smooth Southern accent from Rev. I agree. Yeah, I'll definitely have. It's been a while since I've played a game with them, so hopefully he'll get his pretty soon, and him and I can get some practice runs in. That'd be a blast. Boulder. It looks like again we're in alphabetical order. This one I don't believe was shown off, so this is a new camp that maybe some of you haven't seen yet. I didn't do a preview video for it. One starting card for your hand. 3 water, again, a little bit more of an expensive ability. Destroy all enemies in one column and damage the camp. Then you destroy this camp. So this is kind of like a Hail Mary. Maybe you've had a pesky camp they keep restoring and you've got 1 damage on it, or your raiders have just gone off and they hit a camp that you really want to destroy. Well, they've got it really well protected. This destroys all the people in front of it and damages the camp. So if it's already damaged, you can essentially destroy the whole row. But 3 water is almost your whole turn, and you destroy this camp. But this is a fun one. And I just love the art. Just, similar to Juggernaut, you can imagine a big, giant, hulking machine moving down. Well, you push your boulder down the hill, and it rolls and destroys the other camp and all their people. Just really love the theme and the art to all this stuff. Hey, Piero, appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for joining, watching, and appreciate you. Any other videos that maybe you've watched along the way. Bounty Office. This was one I also got to name. Pretty neat. So 1 starting card, 2 waters. Destroy any camp if your opponent has no punks. Then opponents gain a punk. I think we talked about this one. Really funny. Daniel AI generated a lot of the art just to have stand-in art to kind of help the artist draw his stuff. And instead of saying wanted on the AI art, it said Wintard for some reason. So the punk that we kept generating from the card, we kept calling Wintard. Kind of a funny little story. Cool, neat card. Another way to get and interact with punks. Cannibal Totem. This is a new one we didn't show off in the previews. 1 starting card in your hand for 1 water. You deal 1 damage. Damage one of your undamaged cards, and then you can do a restore. Cheaper restore, 1 water. Now you are damaging one of your cards, but maybe you have somebody really pesky on the board that your opponent has been trying to kill or destroy, and you've got some other fodder on the field that you don't mind being damaged. Well, now you have a way to restore them. And you can also, it doesn't have to be a person, you can also damage one of your camps if you felt the need to do that to restore another camp or a person on the field. So a cool card there. Colt House, also a new card. I really like the art on this one. These guys are super creepy looking. 1 starting card in your hand. Destroy one of your people, then deal a damage. So similar to Cult Leader, you're destroying one of your people, then doing a damage. Now Cult Leaders was free. This does cost 1 water. So the camps always, since they're on the board all the time, and a little harder to destroy, their costs for stuff are usually, a little more expensive. I think I submitted a similar design, because Daniel during the play testing was asking for play testers to submit camps. So I had kind of a similar one to this. Don't know if it was worded exactly like that, but I'd like to think maybe I helped with that one. Death Ray. This was the first card that we showed off in the camp previews. 1 starting card, 2 water. Destroy any card if you discard 5 cards. So that's a fun one. A fun fact, I think I mentioned this in that video. This art was left over from the original expansion, from the original game. And they were able to then use that for this one. Again, you can kind of see the color difference or depth between the linen and the synth cards there. Still looks really good on both. Demolition Derby. 1 starting card. When your raiders resolve, move all of the opponents back 1. And then you have a side card here, a Raiders side card, since this is kind of a Raiders card. I think this was one we previewed. I don't remember. But it's really nice to have more camps and cards that interact with the event track. You had a few of those, Omen Clock and then Doomsayer in the original game. He's added some camps in this expansion that interact with that area a little bit more. So that's always fun. Draft Office, I think we showed this one off. 1 starting card, 3 water, draw 2 cards. Ends in chaos, and really digging the art. Now, keep in mind, Manny did not do the art for the camps. That artist was named Damien Mamaliti, so apologize if I got his name wrong, but he did the cover art for the box and the poster they showed off, the movie style poster. But just wanted to shout him out. Damien did do all the art for the camps. Extra Cargo, retail pack still pops. Love the artwork. Yeah, this guy did a great job. I think I actually really like the art in the expansion. He kind of got a little more flavorful with the punks and the characters for the expansion, which is really cool. Field Hospital, I don't believe this one was shown off. 1 starting card, 1 water, move your person to this column, and then they can be restored. And then a sidecar of Raiders for 2 water. So if you had a damaged person over here and maybe, just 1 person over here, you can move this person over and restore them for 1 water, or, move this person up and move them behind and restore them. But if the column you want to move them to is full, you can't move them. So, if you have a completely full field besides the 1 column, then you can't use the restore ability. And for that reason, I hope I put these back in the right order. For that reason, that's why you kind of have this sidecar as well. So this camp isn't completely dead all the time. You could still send out Raiders if you wanted to. The artwork is so cool. I agree, Ariel. Very, very good artwork. Fortress. This was kind of a last-minute play test design that kind of helped. This is the last camp and card, I think, that Daniel and I play tested together and worked on. It was kind of tricky, but I think it's in a really cool spot. 0 starting cards. It has a trait. This camp starts forward 1 space, and then a person can go behind it. And then for 3 water, so your whole turn, if you don't have a water silo or anything, you get 3 punks. So this combos really well, again, with those combo-centric camps. So similar to Juggernaut, which can move, along the track. This actually just starts the game 1 up. Doesn't ever move, but you can play people behind it. So some really awesome people can go back there that you can kind of double protect a person instead of double protect your camp. Yeah, Sniper Bunker. That's right, Extra Cargo. Or Mr. Mulger's Stang can hide back there and throw bombs at the other person's camps. Freedom Camp. I don't think this one was shown off in a preview, so this is a new card for everybody. 1 starting card in your hand. 1 water. If an opponent has an unprotected camp, you gain a punk. So this was an area that was kind of explored. You can really see the expansion symbol on this with that kind of that lighter background. So there in the corner, there's the expansion symbol for the camps. So when you're playing your opponent, if they don't have anybody in the column in front of that camp, you can spend a water and gain punks. So kind of definitely maybe a little more useful in the early game as your opponent is still building their board. So maybe a little harder to use later on, but that's why you do get a starting card for that. Ooh, Gas Station. I don't think this was shown off. This is some really cool art. 2 starting cards, some of my favorites. I love when you get more cards at the beginning. For 1 water, if this starts the Raiders, they start at 3. So yeah, I don't think we did show this one off. So if you have your new Raiders card over here, if it's over here and not on the track, you spend 1 water, they go to spot number 3, and then work their way up. And on your next turn, 1 water can move them up. But say you junked a Raider symbol and they started at 2, well, now you can spend 1 water and move them up. And just kind of a cheaper way to move the Raiders along, and a kind of a slower way, but cheap, to start them if you don't have any junk Raiders or other junk cards out on the field. There's those synth cards moving on me again. Definitely need to play some games with these, Troy. Get them a nice patina on them and some wear and tear so they stop doing that. A guillotine, I think this one was shown off, 0 starting cards. 2 water, destroy an unprotected enemy. Opponent may use their ability without paying water. So a way to destroy pesky people, but you are giving your opponent a chance to use that ability one last time. So kind of a neat puzzle with this one. I like that camp. Incinerator. This one was shown off. 1 starting card, 1 water, discard 2 cards, not the water silo, of course. And you may use their junk effects and then deal a damage. So as a person who might probably over junk a lot, this was one of my favorite camps to use during playtesting. You're giving me the chance to junk these cards and deal a damage. Sounds pretty good. And you may use them. So you have to discard 2 cards. You don't have to use the junk ability. But I would probably lean towards picking cards that you would want to junk anyway to discard. Laser Tower. I think we might have previewed this one. I don't remember. 2 starting cards, 2 water, destroy all of your people in this column, and then you can deal a damage. So really interesting puzzle for this one. You can play the card. You can use it. You don't have to have people in front of it, but then it's exposed. And then if you do have people in front of it, you destroy those people to deal the damage. Lobotomizer, cool name, cool artwork here for this pink radiated skull. 1 starting card, 1 water, restore a person, then discard 3 cards from the deck. If any of those cards have the junk symbol, you replace the person with the punk and gain a water. So I did preview this one. We did talk about it. So that video should still be up. Fun, push your luck, RNG kind of card. I think there's almost 20 junk and the deck is 66. So almost a third of the cards you're going to draw are going to end up making your person a punk if you try to restore them. So fun one. Masquerade. Cool card here. Love the art. Very labyrinth-esque. 0 starting cards has a trait. Look at your punks anytime. If your punk is a person, you may pay its water cost to flip it. It enters play ready. And then again, since we have a punk ability, we have a punk side card to bring punks into play. So very similar to Training Camp. This was one of the reasons why Training Camp was kind of removed from the game, was that this was just a little bit better. Training Camp allowed you to flip the card over for 1 water. Doesn't matter what the cost was, but you didn't know if it was going to be a person or not. So this allows you to look at your punks, and if it's a person, you can pay for them and they're still ready. So maybe a little bit better, but kind of a similar ability. Memorial. 1 starting card, 1 water. If any of your cards was damaged or destroyed anyway, this turn, restore them. This includes, this really benefits if you have those self-damaging cards. Cult Leader might be one, or any of the cards that you destroy a person in the camps, labor camp, blood bank, etc. So a way to kind of restore, cheap restore. So that's a fun one. Again, that was one we did preview. Mining Camp, I believe we previewed this one. 1 starting card, 1 water, remove any player's destroyed camp. A person can now be there, and then you get to deal a damage, and then you have the Raiders side card there. So kind of a fun one, a way to interact with your camp area, which can't be done very often. So you can hit the cards on your side or your opponent's side, remove them. You now have spots to put 3 people if you want to. So kind of advantageous for you, cheap damage, but keep in mind that if you do destroy or remove your opponent's damaged cards, you are now giving them a 3rd spot as well to hide people. So a little bit of a push and pull there between you and your opponent. Motorcycle Club, 1 starting card, 1 water. If you have a punk, gain a punk or a raider. It's a fun one. We did preview that one. Peaceful Village. I don't think this one was previewed, so this might be a new camp for everybody. 1 starting card in your hand, 2 water. If this card is undamaged, you can do a restore. If this card is damaged, you get to do a damage for 2 water. So kind of a fun one, very thematic. When they haven't been attacked, they're peaceful. They can help restore other people in other camps. But when they've been damaged, then they're a little more violent and prone to attacking you back, and you can start dealing damage with that camp. Pretty fun. Power plant, digging the cow skull in this one. One starting card, one water. All your other camps and undamaged people become ready. It's a fun one, being able to re-ready all your stuff. So kind of like a super atomic garden, but you can use it on your camps as well. Recycling depot, I think we previewed this one. 2 starting cards, 0 water, discard 3 cards, and then draw 2. So kind of a way to find hopefully some answers in the deck that aren't in your hand. You do lose a card to do that, but if the cards you have don't work, why not dig through the deck? Rescue post. I don't think this one was previewed. Kind of some neat art here. 1 starting card, 1 water. Choose one of your people that didn't enter play this turn. Return it to your hand. You can't put it or a copy of it into play this turn. So this was a card that was inspired by Rescue Team. And the reason why it has all this text like this is they don't want you to spam, replaying a Rescue Team and bringing it back. And then, if you pull up a Doomsayer, playing the Doomsayer again. So it's kind of some of the same combos that you have with Rescue Team, but it is a way to pull back maybe those important people. Wait a minute, they have helicopters, Extra Cargo asked. They do now. I think the story behind this is technically supposed to be set a little bit into the future compared to the original camps. So yeah, they've found some helicopters. Some punk has figured out how to fly them. Who knows how many punks had to be sacrificed to figure out how to fly a helicopter, but somebody figured it out. Good for them. Ridge Top. Pretty sure we previewed this one. 1 starting card, 2 water. All cards are unprotected this turn. So very similar, inspired by, I'm having a brain fart on the card that this is inspired from in the deck. It's an event. High ground. There we go. Thank you. High ground. So a high ground that you can have all the time. So probably because it's 2 water, not something you'll use a lot, but definitely a good finish. Thank you, Extra Cargo. He reminded me as well. High ground. Saloon. Ooh, a new card. I don't think we previewed this one. A little bit of a Wild West theme with some of these cards, it seems like. We have the wanted office or wanted poster, bounty office, excuse me, and then saloon here. 1 starting card, 1 water. If both players have a person, deal damage if both players have a person, then the opponent does an injure back to you. So kind of similar to Vanguard, but cheap damage that gives you a card is always nice to have. So if they have a person, you have a person, you get to deal a damage, and they can only deal an injure. So if you only have the 1 person, they can injure your person, but they can't. You can damage their camps. They cannot damage your camps back. Science Lab, obviously inspired by the scientists. 0 starting cards, 1 water. Discard the top card of the deck. You may use its junk effect. Probably not something you'll use the first turn because if you get a restore, you obviously don't have anything to restore, so that wouldn't be very good. But fun card. Again, a little bit of RNG. You're most likely going to hit an injure with this or a raider symbol with this. Those are the most 2 prominent cards in the punk or person deck. Initial play testing for this one let you discard 2 cards, and that was a lot of fun, but maybe a little broken. So it does 1, still really nice. Ooh, War Room, new card. This one hasn't been previewed. 0 starting cards. Your events cost 1 less, and then you have a Raider side card. So that's a fun one. There are some events in the deck, and if you can get some of your 0s for 0s and some of your 1s for 0s, that's pretty awesome. So that's a fun one to play with. It looks like we've reached the replacements. So some of these were shown off in those preview videos. Some of them weren't. Cash, 1 starting card, 2 water. You gain a Raider and a Punk. Pretty awesome. I like that one. We did preview that one. The new construction yard. This one was previewed as well, I believe. 1 starting card, 1 water. Move any person to any place as long as it's on the same side. And then 2 water. So that's a fun combo with Fortress. You can move people behind or around as they get damaged if you want. Works really well with Laser Tower. You can move a person out of the way, use laser tower, or if you don't have any people there, you can use laser tower, then move a person in front of laser tower to protect it. So kind of some neat combos there. Warehouse, the new warehouse. This one wasn't previewed. New camp for everybody. 1 starting card, 1 water. If your opponent has an unprotected camp, do a restore. So this is similar to, I think it was Freedom Camp that gave you a punk. Very good early on. A little harder to use once your opponent has established a board. But if one of their camps is unprotected, you can do a cheap restore. Pretty nice. New mercenary camp. This one was shown off. 0 starting cards, 2 water. Destroy any camp if you have 4 or more people. So a couple of camps, in here. Battering ram was 1. This one really helps you if you're able to build a good board, which is sometimes pretty hard to do in the game. Resonator. The new resonator. 1 water. 1 starting card to start, 1 water. Damage, and this must be the only ability you use this turn. I believe I did a video on this, kind of fun. So you can play people, you can play events with your water, but if you use any of your people or other camps, you can't get this cheap. You can't get this cheap. Now you can still do junks as well, but you just can't use other abilities. And I don't think we've shown off that new, the different symbol. So again, it's subtly there in the corner. It has a different symbol as a replacement than the other camps, the new camps. So a way to organize and put everything back together if you want. New scavenger camp. 1 starting card in your hand. 0 water. Discard a card. Again, not the water silo when you discard cards. Then you can gain a punk or a water. So just another way to generate punks if you have camps or people that need to use punks. And if you're not doing a punk theme, you can at least still gain extra water by getting rid of cards you might not use. So I think that was a new one. They didn't show those off during the preview. I believe we did talk about cannon. 2 water, or 2 starting cards, excuse me. This card starts the game damaged. And then for 2 water, if this card is undamaged, you get to deal a damage. So kind of similar to Obelisk. Instead of being completely destroyed, it does start like this. And then if you can restore it, you get damage. So kind of a fun puzzle there and a way to get lots of cards to start. Command post still the same. The only change is it went from 2 starting cards down to 1. You have Fortress, which, I saw somebody post on Reddit. They had Command post and then Fortress. Well, for 3 water, they gained 3 punks with Fortress, and now you get a free damage with your Command post. So there's a few more punk combos in the camp deck, which is why this went to 1 starting card. Training camp. This wasn't shown off. New training camp. 2 starting cards. 2 water. If you have 2 people in this column, deal a damage. So again, if you have kind of a lot of people, 2 people in here, this can turn on. 2 water gives you damage. Not the cheapest damage in the game, but a damage nonetheless. It's good to have variety in your camps. And one of my favorite changes in the game, I will miss the old Obelisk, but this new one is so much fun. 1 starting card in your hand. And when the last card is drawn from the deck, you win. So it just kind of gives you another win condition, allows you to rush through the deck. Keep in mind that traits on camps are still turned on even when they're damaged. When this is completely destroyed, then that win condition turns off. Normally in the rules, you can go through the deck twice before it's considered a draw. If you can get through the deck once, you win the game. So appreciate you all sticking through that with me. Maybe, I know it's kind of a longer video, but appreciate it. So a lot of fun stuff there. And the last thing I kind of wanted to do was see how we can fit everything in the box, because they promised that. So we'll do the retail one first. So they mentioned before in the stop and read this. If you're just coming into the stream a little later, in the back of the pack is a stop and read this. Tells you what to do with the new camps that were replacing the other camps, and then a bunch of stickers you can put in your rule book that updates, the restore rule, the playing people rule, and a couple other things, and then some frequently asked questions for the new camps. So here's the 10 camps they recommend getting rid of. So we can set those aside. So there's the other camps. So when you combine these camps with all of the new ones that they give you in the box, it's actually the same size, the same number of cards as your person deck. And what I would like to do probably is we'll give each player one of those. We'll give this player those, and we'll throw the new ones in the box. Why not? And that way when you're playing, you can pull these out, give that to one player, say, here, shuffle those for me. And then you can shuffle one pile and keep your cards, and you can go. Let's see if we can fit the tokens in here. Should be able to. I know I did a little bit of a preview in one of my videos of a Will It Fit. I am going to do a Will It Fit sleeved video. Roxley has said they tried it. They were able to get it to fit with sleeves. I know I had trouble just putting the old expansion in the box with sleeves. Not very much lift there, so that's pretty nice. But maybe you want to keep, your 10 camps from before. Maybe you want to mix these in every once in a while and spice it up, or just mix everything together. So we'll take our tokens out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll split it. There's even room to throw in your old camps if you want. Look at that. And heck, if you want to throw in your old, water silo and stuff like that, throw that in there. That didn't work quite as well as I would have liked. Oh, now we're kind of pushing it. But tokens, we're stretching this box to its limits, punks. We're seeing how much we can squeeze in. So if you want every single card to go back in your retail box and your rules, look at that. Hardly any lift, maybe a smidgen bit, but once you put that in a bag or something, you will be good to go. So I would say everything fits back in the retail box. Pretty awesome. Like I said, maybe in a week or so, I'm going to try to post a video to see if I can fit all of this back in the box sleeved. I want to say on their Board Game Geek post, Roxley mentioned they did have to take out the insert. We're going to try and see what we can do to do that. So we'll see if we can do it. But I don't want to sleeve over 100 cards on camera in front of you guys. That'd be kind of boring, I would think. Now the deluxe version. Let's see. Again, we'll get rid of the 10 cards that were replaced. We will add the original camps here. We'll add all of the new camps, just throw that in the box. And like before, we'll give one person, the reference card, the 2 new promos. Throw that in there. You can see a little bit of a color difference there. And now that this is a little flatter, it does feel like there is a slight, get rid of that silicone pack there. It does feel like there's a little bit of a slight, see if I can show that off on the camera. There, you can kind of see there. Looks like the new camps are just subtly cut a little shorter than the original camps. But I'm assuming, probably once you get all these shuffled up, and together, you're probably not going to have too much of a difference. You can still see a little bit of difference. Probably when you're drawing, though, and you have it laying flat on the table, and once you've played with the deck enough and got the sides to the same color, you're probably not going to notice too much of a difference. I think if you're paying that much attention, you're not going to enjoy your game anyway. But just a heads up if you decide to mix everything together. Back to seeing if everything fits. We'll put these 3 cards here. We will give the old Raiders and an old water silo and a reference card to this person. It'll fit there. Nice and snug. Very little wiggle room. Very little wiggle room to pull out. The reason I took out the rule book is that it's online, the updated rule book, And again, just like what we did with the original, putting the old cards in, 3, 4, 5, maybe you want to keep some of the old camps. That way, if at any point in time you ever want to have some nostalgia and play an original version of Radlands, or if you just want to throw in an obelisk or the old mercenary camp or something, the cards do fit where the rule book does. Now, you're not going to be able to fit the rule book in there, but that does make it a little harder to pull your stuff out. So you might have to take everything out, take these out, then pull these out. But if you did want to keep all the cards that come with the expansion and the promos and everything in here, it looks like you are able to do that. Close it. You're good to go. So everything fits in this, including the rule book. No rule book in this one, but it's online. And if you have the super deluxe version, you could just keep the rule books in the big box that your playmats came in. I think that's everything that I had that I wanted to go over. Like I said, I wanted to go over some of the new cards. We went over all of them. Wanted to compare the art between the synth and the retail version to see if there was still a slight difference, which it looks like there is. And then I wanted to address some of those complaints from the Board Game Geek thread that I saw. So looks like there is a subtle difference between the old camps and the new camps. And again, manufacturing 2 years later, I'm not surprised there's a slight difference between everything. But really looking forward to trying this out with all the people I like to play Radlands with. So before we end the stream after over 45 minutes, did anybody have any questions or anything they wanted to ask? Perfect. I don't see any. Maybe I'll give it a few more minutes. So coming up, like I said, I'd like to do a does everything fit in this box sleeved. I will take a look at these new directions and maybe I'll do a short video on where to place these in your rule book. That might be kind of fun to do. And hopefully, like Troy asked, maybe I'll see if any of my Radlands buddies have any of the new camps and we can maybe do some just practice or fun games live like we did with this. So Extra Cargo says thank you, Extra Cargo. Appreciate you watching. And as always, stay thirsty, punks.